The Giants passed on Shedeur Sanders for Jackson Dart, but Joe Thomas just revealed the real reason. And trust me, it has nothing to do with football.
Say it was strong. I don't know exactly how, strong I would say this is. Thomas said they're not conspiring to sabotage somebody who, by the way, would be great for the league. And he is great for the league because the league wants eyeballs on it. There is no reason they would be trying to conspire against him and sabotage him. He all goes on to say, I think he has a higher ceiling. He's a great playmaker. He was tremendously accurate. He has the feel when he's in the game and how to make the big plays. But just because you have the ceiling that's really high and the potential to be able to do that doesn't mean you could do that right now.
Browns and their quarterback situation again, God willing, for months. Shedeur could not afford the type of performance he had in the third preseason game. It is as simple as that. When you are a late round pick rookie, you can't have a disastrous performance. You can't. And he did. It was not the coach's fault. It was not the offensive line's fault. It was he had a bad game, flatly. And the reason it is extra concerning is those of us that were skeptical that he was ever truly a first-round talent, we were worried that his bad games would look a lot like that. Like trying to do a little too much with his legs, overestimating his escapability.
The New York Giants are probably sick right now, and they should be. While they're stuck watching their season crumble, Joe Thomas just dropped a bombshell that's got NFL executives scrambling for damage control. The former Browns legend just confirmed what we all suspected. Shedeur Sanders falling to the 5th round wasn't about talent, it was about fear. Thomas straight up admitted Shedeur has a higher ceiling and is tremendously accurate with elite playmaking ability, but here's the kicker. He also revealed why teams like the Giants deliberately passed on him. And when Travis Kelce is out here demanding that Cleveland give the people what they want, you know something shady went down in that draft room. What Joe Thomas just exposed about the NFL's treatment of Shedeur Sanders is about to flip this whole narrative upside down.
Okay. When Shedeur did his last preseason game and they had the third stringers, fourth stringers out there, I didn't feel like that was a good position to put him in to win. And then when they had the fourth quarter drive with one possession left and they took him out and put Huntley in, I don't think they did not want him to drive that ball down there and get a touchdown just because it's just too much noise for the Browns to handle right now. I think they want Flacco to get in there, steady the ship, and then let Shedeur and let Dillon keep on battling it out. In my mind, Shedeur is going to be the better quarterback. Shedeur's
team with arguably the worst quarterback situation, and he is fairly, right now, their third best option to be a starting quarterback. Okay? That is where we're at. Now, is that a death knell for his career? No. Do I think he has more potential than Gabriel because of size and pedigree? I do. But if I had to, from what we saw in those preseason games, if in week 1 Flacco goes out, you would have to be more comfortable putting Gabriel in. That is what it is. That's not ridiculous. That's not unfair. That's not a vast conspiracy. That is what it is. The reason I find this story interesting is the reason I find a lot of things interesting is when they are symbolic for a greater...
Y'all, we need to talk about this because what's happening to Shedeur Sanders is straight up criminal. I'm watching Joe Thomas break down exactly why this kid fell to the 5th round, and it's got nothing to do with his arm talent. Listen to what Thomas said. I think he has a higher ceiling. He's a great playmaker. He was tremendously accurate. He has the feel when he's in the game and how to make the big plays. Hold up. Did you catch that? Joe Thomas, a Hall of Fame tackle who protected 20 different Browns quarterbacks over 11 seasons, just told us Shedeur has a higher ceiling than most quarterbacks. This is a man who's seen Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, and every other quarterback disaster Cleveland's had. When Joe Thomas tells you a quarterback has elite potential, you listen, but here's where it gets spicy. Thomas also dropped this truth bomb about why teams passed on him. Just because you have the ceiling that's really high and the potential to be able to do that doesn't mean you could do that right now. Translation? Teams weren't worried about Shedeur's talent. They were scared of the timeline and the pressure that comes with being Shedeur Sanders' son. And you know what? That guest on the show kept it real too. He said, "I don't think he should have went that low. The reason I think he went that low is I think it has something to do with his dad. Whether that is them not liking him or him not going and doing the workouts, answer questions the way they father told him not to." Bingo. This wasn't about football ability. This was about NFL executives being petty because Shedeur and Coach Prime didn't play their little pre-draft games. They wanted him to dance for them at the combine, answer their stupid questions, and basically bowed down to the system. When he didn't, they blackballed him. Now look at the Giants. Russell Wilson is 36 years old, looking washed and thereabout, to face the toughest schedule in the NFL. 8 of their first 12 opponents made the playoffs last year. 8. And what did they do instead of taking the most accurate quarterback in college football? They grabbed Jackson Dart and hoped for the best. Here's what nobody's talking about. Cleveland actually played this perfectly. While other teams were scared of the Sanders circus, the Browns said, "Hold my beer," and traded up to get him in the 5th round. They got a potential franchise quarterback for the price of a backup. The guest on the show broke it down perfectly. I think that they're going to try to build Shedeur up a little bit. Just give him a little bit of chances. But all right, let me keep it a bean. And then he said something that made my jaw drop. When Shedeur did his last preseason game, and they had the 3rd stringers, 4th stringers out there, I didn't feel like that was a good position to put him in to win. Y'all, this is crucial. The Browns aren't trying to set Shedeur up to fail. They're protecting their investment. They know they have something special, but they also know the pressure cooker that comes with being in Cleveland. So they're letting Joe Flacco be the sacrificial lamb while Shedeur learns and develops. And honestly, that's smart as hell. Look at what happened to other rookie quarterbacks who got thrown into the fire too early. The Browns learned from their mistakes with Baker and Johnny Football. They're not about to ruin another potential franchise quarterback by rushing him. Now Travis Kelce is out here speaking facts about what the people really want. And you know what he said? Give the people what they want in terms of Browns fans, Shedeur Stark. Give the people what they want. The world wants to see him go out there and not only play, but have success at this point. Guys are rooting for him. Listen to that. Travis Kelce, a Super Bowl champion who knows what it takes to win, is telling us that the world wants to see Shedeur succeed. This isn't just Browns fans. This is everybody who loves football and appreciates real talent. And the guest's response was perfect. Travis is speaking the way that I feel like. And I know, like, end of the day, they got Flacco just to make sure everything's good. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. But getting people what they want, he talking about giving me what I want. I want Shedeur Sanders out. That joint for real, starting with the starting line, the starting receivers, the starting line. You feel that passion? That's what happens when you have a quarterback who can actually move people. When's the last time you heard anyone get that excited about Daniel Jones or Jackson Dart? I'll wait. Let's talk about what the Giants are really dealing with right now. Russell Wilson just got embarrassed in his final 5 starts with Pittsburgh, went 0-5, and looked completely washed. Now they're asking this 36-year-old to carry them through one of the hardest schedules in the league. Recent reports have Wilson on multiple, most likely to be benched lists. CBS Sports straight up said the Giants are predicted to be one of the 5 worst teams in 2025, specifically calling out their dire QB situation. When the media is already writing your obituary before the season starts, you know you messed up. And here's the kicker. They could have had Shedeur Sanders sitting there developing behind Wilson, ready to take over when the inevitable happens. Instead, they're going to throw Jackson Dart to the wolves when Wilson gets benched, and that kid is not ready for the New York media circus.
They should give the people what they want in terms of Browns fans. Shedeur Stark, give the people what they want. The world wants to see him go out there and not only play, but have success. At this point, guys are rooting for him. This isn't anything against Dylan. This isn't anything against Joe. I'm just saying the excitement is there for Shedeur to go out there. He's going to put eyes on the screen. He's going to bring people to the game. What do you think about Travis saying that, man?
That boy Travis is speaking that good stuff right there.
Listen, this is what I think. This is what I think Travis should do, man. Travis can afford it now, or will be able to. I think what Travis should do is go ahead, since he feels so strongly about this. Travis, you should go and buy the Browns. Let the fans make the decisions of who is going to play and who's going to start. That's it.
I'm not gonna lie. No disrespect to the Haslems. Love the Haslems to death. But if they were up to sell it to Travis. Because him and Taylor got the bag enough to buy it. And I'm gonna be there chilling with my good man, Travis Kelce, the new owner of the Cleveland Browns. It's like, no,
man.
But for real though, Travis is speaking the way that I feel like, and I know like.
You want to know the real reason teams passed on Shedeur? It wasn't football. NBC Sports did a deep dive and found out that multiple teams had character concerns because he didn't do certain workouts and interviews the way they wanted. Fox Sports reported that executives were worried about the Sanders family circus. But here's what's crazy. Travis Kelce called out these coward executives who talk trash anonymously. He said, "What the F is that about?" when discussing how anonymous coaches ripped Shedeur before the draft. And you know what? Travis is right to call them out. These executives were scared of Deion Sanders having influence over his son's career. They were scared of the spotlight, the media attention, the expectation to actually win games. They wanted a quiet, obedient quarterback they could control, not someone with the confidence and backing to demand excellence. The guest on the show said it perfectly. At the quarterback position is a little bit different than DB or wide receiver, where I'm going just come. Here, I'm going to do what I got to do and just handle business regardless. When you're a quarterback, you're face of the franchise. They want you to act a certain way. So they punished Shedeur for having standards. They punished him for believing in himself. They punished him for having a father who wouldn't let teams disrespect his son. And now look where we are. When Shedeur finally got his chance in preseason, what happened? He went off. His debut against Carolina was spectacular. 14 completions on 23 attempts for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. LeBron James was tweeting about him. The whole football world was watching. But then, and this is where the conspiracy gets thick, look what happened in his final preseason game. The Browns put him out there with 3rd and 4th stringers, set him up with no protection, and when he struggled, they pulled him for Tyler Huntley in the 2-minute drill. The guests saw right through it. I don't think they did not want him to drive that ball down there and get a touchdown just because it's just too much noise for the Browns to handle right now. Y'all think about that. They didn't want him to succeed too much because it would create pressure to start him over Joe Flacco. The Browns are playing 4D chess, managing the narrative while protecting their future franchise quarterback. Here's the thing though, all of this is actually good for Shedeur in the long run. While other rookie quarterbacks are getting destroyed behind terrible offensive lines and with no weapons, Shedeur is learning from one of the smartest coaches in the league in Kevin Stefanski. The guest broke down the Browns' timeline perfectly. If Flacco loses 3 in a row, it's time for Shedeur. If he goes 2-3 or keeps it around .500, they'll stick with the veteran. But the moment things go south, Cleveland knows they have their ace in the hole. And honestly, that's exactly how you develop a franchise quarterback. Look at Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre. Look at Patrick Mahomes learning behind Alex Smith. The best quarterbacks don't get thrown into the fire immediately. They get time to learn and adapt. This whole Shedeur Sanders situation is bigger than just one player. It's about how the NFL treats players who don't fit their cookie-cutter mold. It's about executives being scared of change, scared of players with personality, scared of anything that challenges their control. But here's what they didn't count on. Shedeur is different. He's got the talent, the work ethic, and the mental toughness to overcome all this negativity. Joe Thomas, who's seen it all, believes in his ceiling. Travis Kelce is out here demanding he get his shot. The fans are hungry to see what he can do, and when Shedeur finally gets his opportunity, and trust me, he will get it. all these teams that passed on him are going to be sick. The Giants are going to be watching him throw touchdown passes while they're trying to figure out if Russell Wilson can make it through a full season. The Saints passed on him 6 times, and now Derek Carr is retired with shoulder problems. The Steelers are trying to convince 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers to come save them. The Raiders had Tom Brady as a minority owner and still didn't take the most accurate quarterback in college football. Look, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. What happened to Shedeur Sanders in the draft was wrong. But sometimes the best revenge is success, and that's exactly what's coming. The Browns got the steal of the century. They got a potential franchise quarterback for 5th-round value, while other teams are scrambling, trying to find answers at the most important position in sports. Joe Thomas sees it. Travis Kelce sees it. The fans see it. Hell, even LeBron James sees it. The only people who don't see it are the same executives who thought Russell Wilson was a better option than the most accurate quarterback in college football history. But when Shedeur gets his shot, and it's coming sooner than y'all think, remember this moment. Remember when Joe Thomas told us he had a higher ceiling than most quarterbacks. Remember when Travis Kelce demanded the world see what this kid can do. Because when Shedeur Sanders is throwing touchdown passes in primetime while the Giants are looking for their next quarterback, we're going to look back at this draft as the moment the NFL showed us exactly who they really are. And Shedeur, he's going to show them exactly who he really is. Smash that like button if you think the Giants messed up big time. And subscribe because we're going to be following this Shedeur Sanders story all season long. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.
Really high, and the potential to be able to do that doesn't mean you could do that right now.